do, and I'm going to use 10 to 15 minutes. And after that, the last few minutes, I'll leave it for any of the questions there for you guys. Okay. AI, it's a best coding companion. That means here is the first part I wanted to tell all of you who are developers, who are working with many companies. Every company, when they wanted to create some project, they need developers. So let's say I needed 10 developers to create some 10,000 lines of code. Typically, what I do today, I look for the cheap labor, maybe in India. So I say I need 10 people. They'll say for this 10 people, it'll cost $10,000. And I'll say, okay, go for it and do it. And then I'll say I need 35% margin. I'll take the 10,000, 35% margin, and then I will tell the customer, hey, to do this project for you, I need this much money. Let's assume for the sake of argument, it's 13,500 because of 35%. Okay. But with AI now, I can simply create that code by simply asking a prompt. You can get an efficient code. You can use it for error detection. You can use it for many of the activities. That means instead of 10 people doing, if I make that one, train the two guys with an AI, how to use it, and then create that program, then all I needed is, if the guy says I needed only $2,000, 2,000 rupees or dollars to do that program. Remember, from 10,000 it reduced to 2,000. Okay, so if I am competing with other companies like Accenture and others, the proposal that I give to my client will be 2,000 plus a 35% margin on that one. So roughly, let's go with a $2,500. Compared to 13,500, now you have come down to 2,500. You know who is going to win that deal? It's going to be the one with a lesser price. What happens then? You are already seeing a change, the shift that is happening. People with an AI knowledge will be able to develop that code quicker, which means if the companies are heavily dependent on creating this kind of a model where we needed thousands of people in India, we needed that to be creating coding, I don't need any more. In the coming year, I'll cut down 8,000 people and I only keep 2,000 people and train them on AI coding, and then boom, they're gone. It is reality. I'm not simply making it up. It's going to happen. It is going to be applicable to everything right now, not just this coding activity. Think about it right now. Let's say customer service bot. That means whenever you have a trouble in an airline ticket, you're going to call that customer service. Customer service, someone somewhere picks up the phone and then they will respond back to you with what the problem is. You're going to say something. And now if I convert all of that one into an automatic AI, what happens? That person is not needed. I can have the AI bot sitting there and responding. You won't even know that the AI bot is responding. I can get rid of the customer service people, and then AI bot will take care of everything. That means you will start seeing those kind of a changes coming through. For the development team, it is very much important you stay ahead in the game with these kind of a tools. So one statement that is typically you see in many of the article is those people with an AI will replace those people without AI. That's the bigger problem right now. So it's not like I will stick with what I learned in the college long time back and my job is secure. Those days are gone. You've got to get ready for these changes that are coming in. Okay. Now, there are multiple coding tools that are there in the market right now. One that is very famous is the GitHub Copilot. Amazon is coming very close to that one, what is called as a code whisperer. You don't see the one from the Google, but they also what is have right now. They used to call until last week called as a Duet AI, but now it is called as a Google Gemini. So each of them can generate the code. Simply type in a prompt and then you should be able to generate the code. Today you can use the ChatGPT to generate the code. But what these guys have done is they have taken that capability, put it into the tools. Today, if you're using an IDE with your Visual Studio Code or whether it is the Google Colabs or anything, you are basically writing the code there using all the other features. So what they have done is they have created an extension and then dropped into the Visual Studio Code. So instead of you writing a code on ChatGPT and typing and then pasting that one, you can directly do all of that thing specialized in that place. If that is the case, you need to be learning it. If you are not, if you think that, okay, I don't need it because I already know how to write the Python program, then think about the problem that I'm telling you. The alternative, let's say my last language learning was long time back, or if I take my college days of when I learned it, it was very long time back. But today things are changing and I needed to learn something new. What's the best way? I use the chat GPT itself to learn something new. How did it learn all of those things? So what they have done is they have taken much of the coding components that are there in all of these GitHub and other places where the code components are deployed by the people, publicly available. So they have trained the model. So now it can generate the code, which is all based on all of those kind of things. So given that scenario, if I want to learn something new, I can simply use the chat GPT to learn it. Or when I'm running some problem, let's assume I'm writing a program and then compilation, it gave me an error. How do I do that? I take that error and then drop it into the chat GPT and it will tell me what is the problem and how I should fix it. So you should know how to use all of those things. There are other tools like Tab9 or Replit, and you are seeing some of them. But the ones that I would recommend, if you are not familiar with, is called as a GitHub Copilot. So GitHub Copilot is basically from the OpenAI, the guys who gave the ChatGPT. So what they have done is they have created one that is specific to the code components that they call it as a codex model. So you can simply type in a text and then you get a code. I'll show that one in a minute using the tool itself. Okay. Now, think about the statistics here. Those who are using it, they find that their productivity has improved. 55% faster coding. And since the code is coming from the tool, errors are less. So if I needed
Um,
this code to come, I can simply type in a line and then I get this code. Okay, go ahead. Ask me the question.
Murthy sir, I typed the question in the chat, but this kind of brings up that point. So I was asking, like, if there is existing code, if we push it in, will it identify the vulnerability? But since you're saying it produces code, like, what are the vulnerabilities if a human actually typed it or written a code versus this bot doing it?
Answer is yes. Okay. So they have gone even one step further. Let's go with the basic one right now. Okay. Let's assume you have a code and you wanted that to be checked against the vulnerabilities. All you can do is go to this chat GPT and then create a chat and then paste that code here and then type in whatever the command you wanted to do. Let's assume you didn't have the GitHub Copilot and all that thing. You can simply say that, okay, I needed you to check any coding vulnerability in this one. It will bring it up. Or if you have specific, are there any security vulnerabilities on this code and list out what changes I should do? It will look at the code and then it will build it. So let me show you guys, and at least some magic we can show it here for those who have not seen it. Let's say uh, create a Python program to uh, generate random numbers. Okay. Those who have never seen it, now take a look at it. All I did is one line and I got this. And if I know what I needed, I can start grouping that and then ask it to create one section at a time. All I can do is copy this code and put it into whichever the tool that I'm using it, and then I can build it. Let's say I don't need it in Python, or I have a Python code, I need it to translate it into another language, let's say TypeScript or a JavaScript. Same program. Now, this is a huge business. Remember, when we were doing this Y2K problem, everybody was looking at an existing code and then they were doing the change of the 2 digits. If this tool was there, probably they could have done it in minutes. Now, the next level of the request that people are getting is, I have an old code. I needed it to be migrated to a newer platform, something Python or JavaScript or whatever it is. Think about it. All I did is translate this and I gave the code, and it's easy. Okay. I, I don't even know, let's say R script. I've never worked, nothing is, I don't know, but I know its name. That's all. Let's see what it does. Like I said, I have no idea whether that is right or wrong, how to compile it and all, but I just know the word R. I asked it and it came up. So if I wanted to learn about it, so this is what I typically would have done it. I said, can you give me, there you go. So I can ask more and more specific. I can say, give me the links where I can learn, or give me the programs that I can learn one by one. Like I told you guys, creativity, your imagination makes the difference. If you want to learn, it has the information. You just have to know how to ask it. The 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 universal language of English is the new language in the programming world, and they're creating new roles, what is called as a prompt engineers. Today we had the uh, like a Java programmer or some other programmer, those kind of things are there, or software engineer and all that thing. The new roles are getting created, what is called as a prompt engineers. Their job is to type in the prompt and get a response. You don't need a magical learning of anything. All you need is English. So those who are good with an English, they should be able to type in there. Okay, so there are a couple of questions. Limited in the complexity or the basic output. That's a very good question. I didn't attach the total size. I think I got to mention it one time. So I'll shift to this one for a minute. ChatGPT 3.5. It has a limit on the total size of the text it will build. That means a chat, when you're completing it from end to end, it has a limitation of 2000 tokens, roughly one, like 1000 tokens equals to 700 words. So whenever you are having a limit like that, so when you continue to have the conversation, the initial conversation will start fading away. It will not remember it. Okay. However, with the GPT-4, they have improved it. They have created it for 4,000 tokens, 16,000 tokens, 32,000 tokens, depending on the different models. Okay, that's the first one. Now, the tools that I was referring, for example, GitHub Copilot. Let's pick that one for a minute here. So GitHub Copilot, again, for those who does not know, you can always look for that one and then go ahead and then find those details, subscription and all that thing. But I'm directly taking you to where I have a program, and the installation of the GitHub Copilot is there on the Visual Studio Code. Okay. So right now I'm just picking up the coding environment, that is the Visual Studio Code. This is on the GitHub Copilot on the code spaces. So the extension, uh, the GitHub Copilot extension is already in this one. Okay. So right now, think about it this way, right? If I have to create a new, let's say I wanted to create a new file. Okay. I'm going to call it as abc.py. Okay. That, take a look at it. It's, I can simply ask a question there, or I can control I. When I do that, it will bring up the inline thing. I can simply say create a random. Simply accept it, and then it is done. So the context and the complexity and the size, everything is managed here. Depending on how you are using it, you should be able to make the changes. Again, more features are here. The more you explore it, it is better. Like for example, right now, whatever you are doing in the chat GPT, you can do it here directly. I can simply write the program. I can convert the program. I can write the test cases. I can take an error prone program and then ask it what the problem is. Or if there is a big program, I can ask it to split that one into multiple pieces and all that thing. So the more you spend your time, the more you will know about it. Okay. They've also created a voice on top of it. That means I can simply voice enable it. I don't have it, but they have created an extension. So I can simply sit here and then ask it, I create a program of such and such, and then it will bring the program. So things are changing faster. Okay. I'm not reading all the text. Those who are raising the hand, please speak up. And those who are typing the test, speak up as well.
Sure. Murthy sir, one question. So, you said that it learns things, and here in our company, they're talking about integrating. So, we were asked, um, there is a huge, I don't know if somebody might have used, like in Confluence, there is huge documentation. I mean, it's like a Google search. It's a subset of Google search. So because they're worried about the security of exposing it to
Correct.
external world. So can we have like something like you were showing, like Karnataka recipe, creating a GPT. Can we have something like that to
Yes.
learn the entire like a database of the Confluence, and when we type it, can it bring it the relevant one rather than us going through thousands of pages to get to it?
Yes and yes, but I got to give you one thing. Remember, right now you are listening. I am also like you, except one step further. I have not explored all the details, all the tools that it can bring, all the capabilities. All I'm giving you is a first step.
Okay.
Your imagination, your exploration of this tool gives you an advantage on what you wanted to do.
Okay.
Okay. Today, in my belief, it is possible. The security problems that is coming up, for example, that many companies, when I talk to them, they said, oh, if I put this code, the code will be used by the model and it will be using for training and other things. There are ways to overcome. For example, in this chat GPT, if you are using chat GPT, in the settings here, so let me take you to the settings directly here, where you can, there is one called as a don't use, I'm gonna see, chat history and training. So if I say I don't want any of my data to be used for training, then I can simply block that, and then whatever I type will not be going in. But again, you cannot have the history of any of these chats as well. But remember, OpenAI, Microsoft has invested in billions. So what they have done is they have created a secured environment. So we have created tools on top of the Azure environment with all that security controls, all the company's problems that they are talking about, that my code will be used for model training and all those things, I can block it because I'm using the Azure side of the environment. So I will end up with for any questions. So
Um, Murthy sir, this was really, really informative. Just one question about the last knowledge base that you showed.
mhm.
So, if the knowledge base gets updated, say on a daily basis, is there like or on a monthly basis, the results that come back, would it be current, or would it be what it learned when you actually developed this
Yeah.
one?
So right now we have created it with the real-time index update. So any new information coming in will automatically update, and then you can use the ChatGPT power of reasoning or analysis to respond back. So answer is it's based on how you make the configuration of the entire thing.
Great, thanks, thanks.
Okay. Anyone else has any questions, comments?
Big thank you, Murthy sir.
Absolutely no issues. My intention is to make sure that all of you learn something new. I know in 1 2 hour session, I won't be able to give all of the details that it can bring, but I'm hoping that this gives you an idea. If you're not starting, especially those who are just getting into the jobs, think about it, the impact that will be there in the coming weeks and months. Okay.
Murthy, really thank you so much. Used to be with the in St. Louis group. This was a great presentation. As a doctor, we're still going through a lot of difficulty of understanding how this can be put into effective use. How
I'll
much
give you,
critical thing happens.
yep, I'll give you one best example. I didn't know that doctors are in the call, but let me give you that one of the best example. There was a lady and her son had some problem in the brain. Okay. 3 years, 17 different doctors she had taken, showcasing that particular problem, telling that what that particular isolation of the problem. They could not. 17 different doctors were unable to identify. But she could not give up. She spent enough time on the chat GPT by putting all these symptoms that this person was going through, learning a lot of stuff and asking the question. She identified the problem. She went back and told the doctors that, can you look into this and explain? The doctors, once they figured out, yes, that is exactly the problem. And it became a major news. It came in the September. So you can think about it right now. Major thing, common person was able to isolate the problem and was able to tell the doctor. Let me flip that one in a different way. Okay. Proteins or identification of the drugs. Basically, drugs are all the chemical composition. And if you are looking at a chemical composition, again, it's a text. So the combination of the different combination of these the chemicals, they were able to, or it's going to come faster as well. You will be able to find the new drugs quickly and then put it to test and validate whether that can be useful or not. That's amazing. Or the other one, Google has come up with something on creating the new elements. Again, it's basically a combination of the different elements. Okay. They were able to generate this using the generative AI. There is an umpteen number of opportunities for everyone. Okay. Anyone else has comments, questions? Okay. If not, I think thank you everyone for joining, and those who are learning new stuff, always there are plenty of information. You can always reach me, and whatever I know, I will share. And I want to see what you do with this information. Okay.
Thank you, Murthy. Very good presentation.
Thank you, sir. Murthy, sir. Very helpful.
Thank you, guys.
Thank
Thank
you,
you,
Murthy.
Murthy.
Bye bye.
Thank you, sir.